Welcome to video 2 of 3 videos tonight, but the next 2, this one and the last one, they'll be very quick. So we're going to continue with simplifying an equation before solving. And we talked about this briefly. Once again, a lot of this is repeat. We talked about this briefly in our lesson 3.5 when we said, hey, you can simplify an equation first by multiplying both sides of the equation by the LCD to get rid of the denominators. Let's get rid of fractions. So right here, if you have a fraction r over negative 3 and it's equal to 2, well, that is a fraction. I can get rid of that by just multiplying by the, we're just going to call that simplifying by multiplying by the least common denominator. Well, the least common denominator for r over 3 and 2 would be negative 3. So really, it is multiplying by negative 3, which is the inverse operation of dividing. So if I say negative 3, this makes it really simple. R is equal to negative 6. So that probably doesn't show you as much as we could, but just to say that that's as simple as it gets, and it is there. On number 6, 1/2 x minus 9 equals negative 25. So instead of going through the normal process of saying I'm multiplying by 1/2 and subtracting 9, let's do the inverse operations. Let's just first simplify by multiplying by the lowest common denominator, which the entire equation, the lowest common denominator would be 2. So when I multiply 1/2 by 2, I get 1, leaving me with x. Negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. And negative 25 times 2 is negative 50. So when I add 18 to both sides, x is equal to negative 32. And if you don't believe me, then you can go the old-fashioned way and say, hey, I multiplied by 1/2, and then I subtracted 9. The inverse would be to add 9 and then divide by 1/2, which is the same as multiplying by 2. If you follow this procedure right here, you will end up with the same answer of negative 32. I guarantee it. Moving on, 5/8 x minus 1/2 is equal to 3/4. So we want to just get rid of fractions because we don't like working with them. We know how to, but we don't want to. What would be the lowest common denominator for 8s, 2s, and 4s? That's right, it would be 8. So I'm going to multiply the entire equation by 8. Well, 5/8 times 8 is 5 because 8 goes into 8 one time, leaving me with 5. So I have 5x. I have negative 1/2. Well, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. And then that is equal to 3/4. Well, 4 goes into 8 2 times, and 2 times 3 is 6, right? So now I have an equation that I can work with a lot simpler than all those fractions by adding 4 to both sides. First isolating. That's actually combining like terms, but we are still isolating. Combining like terms are on opposite sides, so we use the opposite operation. And we have 5x is now equal to 10. Dividing by 5, x is equal to 2. Straightforward. And just a real quick review of simplifying what we did in the first video, where we combine like terms, and we recognize that we have a negative 4n and a negative 8n. They come together for negative 12n plus 17 equals 23. And when we subtract 17 from both sides to combine those like terms, we get negative 12n, equals 6. Dividing by negative 12, n equals a negative 1/2. I'm just simplifying it right up front. If I'm going fast, remember, watch and listen, and then pause and write it down. This is things we've done, and this is just a quick review. One more before we do our second quick write. 22 is equal to 12 plus 6y minus 8. Our two like terms on the same side, they're on the same side. So now 12 and negative 8 is 4 equals 22. And now we have a like term of 4 and 22 that are on opposite sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract them. That's a 4. That is a 4. And so I would have 18 now equals 6y dividing by 6. Y would equal 3. So there's lots of ways of looking at these problems when we're simplifying and combining like terms. So real quickly, we've simplified 2 ways so far. 1, combining like terms. If they're on the same side, you add. You add them together. If they're on opposite sides, then you do the opposite operation. Some people want to think that this is the same operation, but it doesn't matter if they're positive or negative. When you add them, you get the right answer. All right, and also we have eliminated, our other way is eliminated, eliminated the fraction. Made it simple. We're making it simple because we're simplifying first by combining like terms or eliminating the fractions. All righty, your next quick write. Quick write number 2, 4h plus 1/3 is equal to 3/4. As soon as you have that done, you might want to come back and get number 3 over. We'll see you.